I'm gonna have to wipe the tears from my eyes after that speech and get back to you on that, Joel. That's very heartfelt.
I'll cry
Yeah, it's a good
after.
question. Yeah,
Hey, this is a good
yeah. Cry
question.
in the shower like a
Yeah,
normal person, right?
yeah. Like, good
Either
too.
Clock is ticking. Topic is the death of straight time. I'm not sure if that's a prediction or a post experience comment, but Ryan and I chatted about what would be a good podcast to take on next. We got a few in the making. One is ultimately, is this industry even worth being part of? And Norm's got some cool ideas to bring in a guest on for that at some point. And yeah, I appreciate you guys all pitching in and throwing some ideas at the board. That got Ryan excited about things as well. So this was the topic we picked, unscripted as always. And again, just to remind ourselves and our listeners that this podcast was created just to get owners talking. Anything goes. Obviously, there may or may not be the odd comment reviewed or edited by the attendees today, but we want to make sure that we just keep an open environment talking about what's going on in this industry. So straight time, flat rate, pros, cons, maybe where are you guys at? What do each of you guys use for a structure? Why do you use it? Are you liking it? Did you always have it that way? Tell us a bit about each of your locations, and then let's get into the pros and cons. Who wants to go first?
Well, I guess I'll just start it off. Both of our shops are straight time, pretty much all the way through with some bonus systems, but I have never been a big fan of flat rate myself.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Why is that, Joel?
I don't know. There's a lot of things that would factor into that. I guess maybe the way I was raised too, but I kind of look at labor as something that is always has been something that you get paid for all the way back in history, whether you're just trading some work with a farmer or trading a good for that service as well. But it's measurable. It happens all the time, and that's just a good way to get compensated for your time without any gimmicks or tricks getting involved in the mix.
So just to dig at you a bit, is that what it feels like when you talk about flat rate, that there are or feels like there's too much gimmick or tricks?
Well, yeah, because it's always based on an opinion, not necessarily the fact. We see times change all the time on what it takes to do a box panel. For 2 years, you'll get paid 15 an hour for it, and then 3 years later, it's now down to 8.5, and it's like, well, it's the same job. How and where? It's an opinion that's written down. Is it on new parts? Is it on old rusted on parts? Just so many factors get involved where judgment has to be used to entertain that idea. That I think it's a kind of a waste of time.
So again, just so we're on the same page, flat rate being a set figure paid to a technician, whether let's say it's a 10-hour box panel, and they do it in 8, they get paid 10.
That is correct.
They do it in 12, they get paid 10.
That is correct.
Clearly, the more experienced technician, which in our world we ran at upwards of 250 to even sometimes 300% efficiency, could actually seem pretty good for the company if this guy is producing.
Yeah.
and obviously getting compensated on those jobs at that rate.
Yeah.
But what I heard you say is that one, there's caution because times are changing, but I wasn't quite sure what you meant by the fairness of it. Is it work against the person or the company or both? Or what's your perception?
I would just say it's just a whole bunch of noise that
Okay.
doesn't need to be applied. We complain about being having to manage KPIs and manage this and manage that for insurance companies, and now we also have to sit down and manage the hours that were paid or not paid, what was warranty, what wasn't, what,
Mm,
and it's noise that doesn't need to happen. Um, Paying that awesome technician more an hour solves that problem, and there's no conversation that needs to be had.
gotcha. So you're saying your experience is with making sure you pay a technician a fair rate of pay per hour to again do the same work but not have to micromanage.
Exactly.
Okay. You said something about warranty. Let's make sure we get back to that. That was always a good one. So, Todd or Norm threw you into this podcast not actually knowing whether you guys pay straight time or flat rate. So, which one of you guys would like to share next?
My answer is complicated. It's
Beautiful.
yes. Yes is the answer. Um, Across our stores, we have a number of different pay rates because in our facilities and depending on what we're working on, it doesn't necessarily make sense to pay flat rate. We, like our most productive store is absolutely flat rate. There's no question about that. In that store, we went from straight time to like straight time efficiency bonus to flat rate, then to team pay, then back to small teams, then back to flat rate. And if you ask me if I'd ever go back to anything else, I don't think so. I think that this is the money, and we've tried it all. Like in our I hear of other success stories in other pay structures. Norm's got a great one that he may speak to after. I think it really depends on your shop. It depends on your market. We're on our Vernon store is on straight time because the location is small and the guys are like flat rate it would just be like a fight in there all the time because they'd be tripping over each other or whatever. So I think that the answer just has to be yes. Like what works in the location, what works with the team, like are you constantly pulling people off of work that if they were flat rate, they would be like, why are you interrupting me? Like, so I don't know if there's any right answer, but I could tell you for sure that if I had the opportunity to put everybody on performance based compensation, that's it's happening. We're slowly figuring out how to do that for our whole company because keep your eye on the ball, guys. Like it pays to keep your eye on the ball. You win, we win. Everybody wins when everybody's paying attention and pulling in the same direction. So I'm not a flat rate hater. I don't believe the sort of old school belief that like with flat rate comes poor quality because that is completely not my experience. I think that how you get paid does not necessarily dictate the quality of your work. I've seen the opposite.
Gotcha. Awesome. I'm going to come back to one thing on that. Not so much to challenge you, but I like what you said that if you can keep your eye on the ball and if we're all pulling in the same direction. So
Yeah.
I'd like to hang out there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And Norm, I mean, Todd said his was pretty complicated. Didn't sound like it, but is yours complicated too?
Yeah, I would say ours probably falls on the complicated to explain, but fairly easy to put into place once it's figured out. But ours is a hybrid solution. Um, Personally, when I started in the industry as a teenager, I was getting paid straight time. When I came out of Red River College, my first job, I got paid straight time as an apprentice. Um, and then I basically went from a level 4 apprentice to owning this company and working by myself. So effectively, I became straight time, or sorry, became flat rate overnight. And it was really interesting. You know, we could really get into depth in talking about the mindset that comes with each pay structure and what it forces the technician to look at. And I think there's definitely some benefits in that regard to flat rate. Um, the solution that we've landed on here right now is a straight time base structure with a performance kind of a flat rate bonus. And if I had to really sum it up, the whole premise is that if the company does well, everybody can do well. So there's three kind of main KPIs that we have to hit for the bonus structure to be in play. The first one is that our throughput has to be beyond a minimum level. So again, you could have high efficiency, but your throughput could not be high enough to keep the lights on. So you can't have one without the other. So there's a minimum, um, and that again comes back to knowing your numbers and understanding what your break even point is, and making sure that you set that minimum threshold at the right amount to make sure that you're going to be profitable if you're going to pay out a bonus. Honestly, that KPI has never been the make or break. We're always exceeding that as we've added more technicians. Um, the second KPI is that as a group, we have to be over 100% efficient, and that includes our detailer. A lot of people leave the detailer outside of the calculation when they're figuring out their group efficiency. So we count our detailer. So as long as we're over 100% efficient, we're now qualified to hit the bonus. And then the third one is gross profit. So the company has to be over 43% gross profit. And so those three triggers get met, we're in bonus land, as I like to call it. And then the way that everybody's bonuses plays out depends on a different set of KPIs. For a technician, they will bonus more if they are more efficient. So we do track personal efficiency. Um, there's other metrics that are involved there too. If you're a production manager, gross profit really plays into it, and same with some of our administrative staff. But the biggest thing is that everybody in the company bonuses when we bonus. And that was one of the major takeaways I got when I was trying to implement a bonus system. I had the fortunate opportunity to talk to a lot of shop owners and get to learn from them. And that was one of the things that really resonated. It builds this resentment within when you have certain people hitting a bonus and excelling financially while others are just kind of sitting idle. So it was definitely a challenge, because how do you measure a CSR's performance, right? So we really had to dig into how we were going to do that. Um, so that was very, very important. So, and then the other thing is, I had to set up the bonus in a way where people could continue to bonus more. There was no just magic number and then you bonus X amount, because what a lot of people told me when they were in those environments is that they would hit their bonus target and then they would sandbag the rest of the month and then carry over that amount into the next month, right? So by keeping it progressive and keeping everybody engaged, you get to keep climbing. And we all know as business owners, once we get past our break even point, that income flows to your bottom line, right? So it's understanding all those structures. So it's the short answer is it's a hybrid. It's complicated to explain, but we're having a great experience with it so far.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if we do see any sort of request from listeners wanting to know more about any which one, I think as Todd said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on your team, depends on your environment. I like what you said, Norm, and you're the numbers guy, right? It's all about KPIs. Is And we all know, as long as people understand how the game is played and the score, don't just move the goalposts. Be okay with moving them if you have to, but let people know what's coming and why. I think is what I heard all three of you share. So, Norm, you had said something about, if I think Todd said if the individual does good, then the company does good. But I think Norm, you said if the company does good, the individual does good. Is there a difference in approach, or are you guys talking the same language? Is it,
I think we're talking. Yeah, I think we're talking the same language. But
Okay.
I think the company does good. The individuals will do good.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of winning together, right? Celebrating together. I mean, watch any sports team celebrating after a win. That's what I want.
Right.
And then watch them, even lose together and learn together, grow together. I think we all got to be in the same pot. And as business owners, ultimately, we're in that conversation too. When we don't hit our targets, we're going to feel that.
I know that all of you are comfortable to a great degree of discussing current situation with your staff, including, is the company profitable? I mean, you're not necessarily sharing your balance sheet, but you're saying, like, look, we're hitting metrics now that actually put us in a place where we can all benefit, if you will. What advice would you give for somebody who maybe is unsure, whether insecure or just not feeling comfortable talking with their team about whether their company is profitable? Have you ever been in that scenario where it's like, guys, we can't keep doing this? What experiences do you guys have in that? Because we know there are people out there.
Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword kind of a question because, we definitely do get asked that, but I think what's worse is why we get asked that is because of the assumptions that we're flowing in cash.
Wait,
You're not Scrooge McDuck swimming in your vault full of coins? Come on, right?
No, not at all. In fact, I think sometimes we're questioned why we are in this industry when these margins are so razor thin.
Yeah, you know it.
That's a great segue to the next podcast. Good job.
Maybe so. But, we're asked that. And here we are, we got three different owners talking about trying to give our employees the most that we can. That's literally what we're talking about here. How we get there is the tough way to do it. But what I think I hear Norm saying the most, though, is that culture really dictates how we pay our people. And I think we've all been going through these different pay systems, right? And our culture has lacked because of it at times, right? And we've caused problems with that one flat rate guy that just killing it, but he's getting all the gravy.
Yeah, we call it door handle licking, right?
Yeah,
And so you're out there in the lot licking door handles. It's like that doesn't work for anybody.
But Norm, including how do we get our CSR to benefit from this? And you're right, man, that they are tremendously beneficial to making sure that the repair goes through the shop smoothly, which really is the goal that we want. Because when that happens, yes, we can pay our people more because we're good. So culture is really what you got to be thinking about when you're setting up any type of pay structure. How is it going to affect it? And is that the direction we want to go with this team or another? I don't have that answer for each individual shop, but one thing to consider.
So maybe I'll just take this. What advice would you give to an owner who is indeed feeling or knows they're not profitable, and needs to have that conversation with their people? What would be
bring in some outside help?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Put Todd down for a new coffee mug.
Yeah. It actually does help though. To be honest, shameless plug, but it does actually help. It does help to have somebody come from the outside that's like, hey, we're not in an echo chamber here. I'm telling you that, whether it's inside these walls or outside these walls, we need to we need to know our numbers, Norm, and we need to know what we need to do to break even, because like no employee wants to go to work for free, and no business owner wants to go to work for free. Like that's just not what we're in the game for, right? Like you're in the game to, maybe you're in the game to do lots of different things, but profit has to be one of them.
Yeah. It's not a
Yeah.
dirty word.
It's not a dirty word. We need to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to piggyback off that, I would say that part of that, you know, if you're feeling that your numbers are not where they need to be and you need that solution, I think people should strongly consider being a little bit more transparent with their financials. And that does not mean handing out profit and loss sheets at the end of every month. But it means sharing some of the KPIs that matter. And that was something, you know, right out of the Tom Bissonnette handbook.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the first time I heard that from him, I just like, oh yeah, well, I already know he's a writer's fan, so he's crazy there. And now he's talking about open book management. I'm like, well, he's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
But there was something to that. And
For
so
2,
one,
for sure.
yeah, well, 2 for 2 or 0 for 2. Yeah. But one really good example I want to share with that. Yeah, we love you. Is so when we were implementing this and we were exploring this solution, I identified some KPIs that I would want to share with my staff that would give them a good idea of the health of the company. And while this was happening, we had a situation in Manitoba where there was a lot of unions that were going on strike. I believe MPI went on strike, and there was a couple of other, and it was just kind of this weird time where all these unions were going on strike. And so one of them was, you guys know Celebrations, like the dinner theater place.
Mhm.
So there's a Celebrations place in Winnipeg. It's dinner theater. I think it was one of the only ones in Winnipeg at the time. And all of a sudden their staff went on strike, and there was like 30 staff. So you have you know, actors, you have, you know, waiters, waitresses, the whole 9 yards, right? So they go on strike, and they're picketing, they're doing this whole thing, and then the company just looks at them and says, you know what, like, we have not been making money for years, and this is the final straw. So they said, have fun picketing, we're closing the doors, see you later. So now all these people just, you know, that just shut the whole thing down. And I use that as an example with my staff. It's like, talk about a disconnect between the management, like the company, and the employees, right? The employees thought that they were selling this product that was generating all kinds of cash and that they were not being paid what they were worth. But management, on the other hand, was bleeding money over and over again, right? Month after month. And just neither side, in my opinion, took the correct steps in getting on the same page and saying, look, we'll pay you more if we make more money. But right now, we're not in a position to do that. And obviously, the trust wasn't established to have that conversation. So I thought that was a really neat example of what happens when those conversations are not had and you don't have that trust.
And I love what you said there, which made me realize, again, we're talking 3 owners who have gone through a lot of effort to be transparent about your numbers with your people. So this is not designed to be a podcast to question why would somebody be working for you and stealing your money and going flat rate or straight time, because argument could be the flat rate guys are making a lot of money and you're not, and then the straight time guys are just standing around not working. Like, we're actually beyond that. We're talking, there are multiple ways you can take the way you compensate your people, but if your business isn't doing well, it's a good chance it's not blaming your people or how you pay them to be your first issue, I think is what you're saying, right? So, which brings me to my next one. And if you guys recall, podcast episode 6, Joel, I said I'd get back to you this one. It's the good old autopsy of a bad repair.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, if I can get my screen to work here. Tell me, gentlemen, do you think you could tell what environment this vehicle was repaired in by the looks of the outcome? Remember that this car made it through the entire repair process back to the owner, and until a re-inspect occurred, the issues found, 22 deficiencies to be exact. Um, who's responsible for this?
Well,
Everybody.
everybody, you know, to take the bait, I think it would be easy to say, oh, that's definitely a flat rate guy that did that. I think that would be the old story, or maybe even still considered a story, but not necessarily true. Nobody could say that for certain that that's what that is. Definitely deficient in the whole facility. And I guess that gets to the bigger question: is why is flat rate pushed or not pushed? Does insurance have say in how body shops may compensate their employees due to, DRP agreements? Um, and in those DRP agreements are calibrations and other research of OEM documentation and all of that. How do you pay flat rate for thinking, for researching? So that brings in definitely challenges in the straight up flat rate type environment. How do you compensate for that?
And the reason why I brought it up, one, because it's one of my most favorite podcasts, but use it constantly to help. You used the word bait, Joel, but I guess it's true. Getting people to talk about who's responsible for that outcome. We've talked in podcasts about if you're not getting authorization to fix the car properly, don't fix the car. You are responsible as a shop. We know all that. That car, we don't know if that shop was flat rate or straight time. We just know that it got through and it was a disaster. I would basically label it as the system failed, not people. No one individual failed. The system let it through. The system failed.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what pay structure it was. But I like what you added in there, Joel, is that are indeed we getting compensated? And is this causing a frustration? Did somebody perhaps throw the weather strip over that pinch well then painted and say, whatever, it's not my problem? Maybe.
Well, there had to be some of that anyways.
Most people are good, right? But that could be a straight time tech or a flat rate tech saying this isn't my problem.
Yeah.
Or
I'd love to hear from the technician who'd fix that. I'd love.
Or technicians, right?
Or, exactly.
Who from the shop that ended up having to foot the bill. Right?
I would just love to interview the whole facility. Can we do that on this podcast?
We will see if they ever reach out.
We can darken their faces like
get
one of those.
No comment.
Yeah, like those interviews where you see just a shadow.
Yeah, blurred face.
Face changers.
If indeed you take a moment and look at your own facility, knowing that we all took that podcast as, oh man, we better look back at our own selves. Are we putting proper product out? I don't believe any three of you guys would take a situation like that and go to your techs and say, hey, look, I just want you to know that no matter what, that's not going to happen. So we're going to put systems in place to make sure that we don't put product out, because we're all prone to make a mistake over sites and quality getting out our door. I think that's what we took from that podcast, is we're all prone to that. So that would have to be a big, huge disaster snowball, right? But we are all prone to having bad repairs going out. So bringing it back to the system is we talk about things like repair planning. We talk about things like advanced repair planning. And we still see multiple cases where people are unable to actually implement proper repair planning on every single vehicle, which we know takes away stress of, missed parts, missed repairs, missed opportunities to charge for proper line items. Proper repair plans reduce the issue in the parts area, issue in the repair process, issues in final reassembly, and obviously, as we know, other things like cycle time. Why is it a challenge still in facilities, even if, I guess, you're a straight time or a flat rate or some mix of between? What are you guys doing to promote the use of systems and process with your people, if that's indeed what's allowing for these things to fail? If we know that it's not our people, that they actually do mean well, and there's systems out there that we as a business need to embrace, does it matter the environment in which you pay them or how you pay them to what processes that need to be put into place?
Yeah, I think this comes back to the mindset. Um, and I think there's positive mindsets to both pay structures. But one negative that I have seen on the flat rate structure is not having the foresight to understand how the utilizing systems like you just mentioned, even though you're not getting paid to do that, will actually speed up your work. And so we had a painter here, the only painter, the only flat rate employee I've ever had here, and this guy had been flat rate his entire life. And he basically said, like, I'm only going to come work for you if I'm flat rate. And I thought, you know what, I got nothing better to do, might as well just, I checked the lineup at the door, there was still nobody there, so I was like, all right, you're in, you can fog your breath with a mirror, you're hired, right? And so this guy was a good painter, but what would happen is he would be in the paint booth, and he would finish his job, and then he'd go outside and have a smoke. He would poke his head in and see what was coming down the line, and he would go, okay, well, they're not ready for me, and I don't get paid to do that, so I'm going to go back and smoke. So he would go back and smoke. He would go hang out in his truck. And I had a conversation with him, and of course, as any first conversation, I approached it very softly, and I kind of asked him, and he met me with an abrupt, I don't get paid for that. And I said, well, you're going back to your truck. Like, the quicker he has done his part and it's in your stall, the quicker you're making money. Am I correct? And he's like, well, yeah. I said, then you're not getting paid to smoke and sit in your truck anyhow. So why wouldn't you jump in and help that process along to land it in your stall to make sure that you have something to work on? And he just looked at me like I had three eyes. He said, I just told you I don't get paid for that. So there was clearly a mental block in understanding how doing something you don't get paid for results in more money. And I feel like a lot of people look at repair planning, and even facilities look at x-ray repair planning as, well, we don't get paid to take the vehicle apart twice, so why would we do it twice? And I think that that's one of the negative mindsets with some flat rate technicians, is they're just not able to see beyond, I get paid for this, I don't get paid for that.
It's a cultural shift, hey, Norm?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good point, Norm.
Yeah.
So, again, quick example is the advanced repair planning or x-ray, that while a customer's waiting, we bring in a car, we dismantle it to get a 100% parts order. Does that car then come into question the technician who originally inspected it? Have you guys run into situations, I think that was the door handle licking scenario? Do you have a hybrid model, which I've seen some people do, which is we just pay a straight time tech to do the proper inspections and then we divvy it up to our flat rate? Like, what other things have you guys found success in without having to really change or mess up your pay plans or question your efficiency, but still tackle that good old challenge of getting proper parts orders, both advanced repair planning, x-ray, or repair planning?
We use advanced repair plans, like drive-in advanced repair plans, as a training ground. Disassembly, damage analysis, that kind of thing, and and we do not charge our flat rate technicians. We do not deduct anything, because it's our business decision to set ourselves up for success, right?
So just so I'm clear, you have a straight time tech or technician, people,
yes, people,
right? Including estimator, whatever, doing the initial drive-in, again, x-ray, advanced repair plan.
Yeah.
And those vehicles are then passed on to the technician or technicians, however you may, and you're not docking them for that time.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit to them. I hope they understand and appreciate that.
Let's just make sure everyone understands why. Todd, why is that a huge benefit to them?
It's a huge benefit to them, mainly due to the fact that there's very limited supplements, parts correctness. Like, have you guys ever seen what a high performing technician can do when you deliver them a repair plan? that's dialed and has all the materials and all the sundries and all the right parts and all the right things, you just your touch time, it will blow your mind. Like, what did you say, Lenny? 300%? Like, yeah, you can, no joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and when, to be honest, as a business, I think when we look at a technician who we look at a technician under normal circumstances that would do 130, 140, 150%, and we can say, hey, you know what, if we set you up for success, you can do 250. Who wins? Freaking everybody wins. Like,
So-
there's no, I don't see any downside to this.
So back to your culture comment, because to me that sounds pretty neat. If you're gonna pre-dismantle cars and get rid of that interruption, man, I might even go back on the bench. That's a big statement.
I'd pay to see that.
do you guys still pull conventional frame these days? Yeah.
Right?
What about the train wrecks? What's happening there? Because it's not your.
Nah, you don't stick an inexperienced person on a train wreck.
So then tell me that where are you seeing the culture? Understanding that proper parts orders up front and proper information means car goes quicker. Are your technicians buying into the repair planning?
You bet they are.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet they are. And you know what? I mean, train wrecks are tough on everybody. But they culturally, like, we've got it's established. Like, you need to slow this down and you need to get this right and you need to answer every single question and like, just like figure out how any of the variables that can come at you, and like let's make sure that when we move forward to, say, parts ordering or whatever that next step may be, approvals and things, that you're let's not go back. And you know what? I mean, the success is tracked over time. I mean, they can see it on their paychecks.
Right. You said something about pulling in the same direction earlier. Like, what have you seen it? What would entice a technician to walk from their bay or space or vehicle and go and help another technician hang a bumper so that car would be delivered? Is that just a pure cultural thing, or are they all pulling in the same direction to a final outcome each day, each week, each month?
Like, I think that's a cultural thing. I think that, like, when's the last time you watched a guy try and hang a hood, or a technician try and hang a hood by themselves, or like, the reality is, when you have good people help each other out. That's just the way it is. It's just no different than I would help any of you guys out. You don't see that kind of thing. I mean, stepping out, we'll see them. Our technicians, our flat rate technicians, I mean, yeah, they don't want to spend their entire lives babysitting a young technician learning how to do the final finesse on a repair, but they do help, because the next time they need a hand, or where I need, like, because the reality is, a lot of the work that we do is teamwork.
Right. Joel, Norm, agree? Relate?
He sounds like he's got a great little team over there. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, we do.
But at the end of the day, right, it's culture, and they're helping each other. Yeah, like we should. So I hope everybody has that. I wish that upon everybody.
Yeah, and I think it's about aligning your pay structure, or incentivizing people to do what's going to generate the desired outcome. So if you pay someone to slam stuff out the door and quality is not a concern, then that's what you're going to get. But I would encourage that, anybody, and don't take changing your pay structure lightly, like that. And we're certainly not. I'm going to speak for the group, and just say, like, we're not saying, like, watch this podcast and go blow up what you have going on, because
Please do not.
you start playing around with people's livelihood when you do that. But I think, that was the biggest question on my mind when I was looking at these different pay structures is what is the goal that we're trying to accomplish? And am I giving the proper incentives so that we can all hit that goal? And back to the comment about, if the company wins, we all win. Well, we can't get paid until that job leaves. So that job might not be in your stall. It might be in Buddy's stall. But until that leaves, you don't get paid, right? So it's like, help him get it out. You see a bottleneck at the booth, like understand that until that job comes out of the other side of the booth, you can't get your hands on it. You can't get paid, right? So I
Yeah.
think that, we really got to look at what are we incentivizing our people to do?
Yeah.
And is it working? That's the last point I wrote down here. Like the numbers don't lie. Like if you are looking at your gross profit on labor and it sucks, and those numbers are out there, any performance group, any paint company will tell you what those targets should be, and you're not meeting that, it's black and white. Like either you're doing it or you're not, and if you're not doing it, then you need to reevaluate it, or don't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. I don't care. But if you truly have a desire to improve, you're going to need to look at your systems and whether or not they're working.
And you're going to need to have some conversations with your team, and you're going to need to start working through some of these things. Definitely the last thing you need to do is change your pay structure. Like, I don't believe
Yeah.
that that's the answer for any of this. But I do. Yeah, I mean, the death of straight time, I don't know. Do you guys really believe that that's true, or is it the death of like performance, like lack of performance based pay? Like I think that the reality is if the business, if the technicians or the people, the CSR, they need to win when the business wins. I completely track with Norm, because like I think that the perception in the industry has been that there's like a little bit of selfishness out there, and especially especially with straight time. And if the feeling with technicians is like, well, there's nothing in it for me to keep my eye on the ball or to pull in the same direction, or whatever metaphor you want to use,
Yeah.
are they really playing the game?
Right. Like what you guys are saying there is, at the end of the day, don't go and change your pay structure. Don't blame your lack of profit for necessarily how you're paying your people. It's the incentive or what's enticing people to contribute, to go over and help that fellow technician, to understand the end result that the company does need to be profitable. And I think most companies mean well. I definitely most people mean well. How do we get to a level where everyone understands that? I could totally see, and I've lived it, seeing a technician checking out, because what's the point? There are those guys that would just do what they need to do and then go up their smoke, because it doesn't matter how hard they try, right? There's just going to be another disaster waiting around the corner. So if indeed that is you as a technician or shop manager owner, go back and listen to a few of the podcasts we've been doing, or reach out to one of us. There's always somebody you can talk to. But I'll end with this question. Back to incentive or entice. Still hear it. Was at a conference a couple weeks ago. It's just so hard to find good people, meaning experienced people. And let's be honest, it's like many a trades, having less and less people joining in and learning this. Yet now we look at our experienced people who are aging and getting to a point of either retirement or health issues, whatever. What's truly enticing an experienced tech to be asked to work with a less experienced tech if their pay is going to be affected? And what have you guys done to perhaps combat that and say, look, we get it, you have experience, but instead of just applying it to a vehicle, we need to apply it to a person?
Well, I think,
raised his hand.
yeah, I've been raising my
I
hand.
love
That's
that.
my new thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
just
like
trying
that,
to
Norm.
trying
Keep
to.
that up.
I want to. I want to give everybody an opportunity, and I like listening to what you guys have to say because I don't learn anything when I listen to myself. So, um, I think again it comes back to tying the incentive to the performance of the company, right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's the big thing. It cannot end. It cannot begin, and it cannot end with just the one technician. So by bringing that around, I think I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit biased because that's what I'm experiencing right now, and I've got the data to track how well that's worked out for me. So for me, that's the answer. Like you got to look beyond individual performance. They need to understand that if they can improve the performance of the person next to them, that will generate more income for the company, which will generate more income for them. So if that's the behavior you're trying to incentivize, then you need to make sure that they see that and they understand it, right? They know that I am investing time in this apprentice because that's what it is. It's an investment, and you're going to get a return later. So when the throughput of the shop improves as a whole, and their income increases as a result of that, now they're getting their return on their investment. You just have to draw the line from point A to point B, so they can see it. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
Just again, though, if there's anything you could share on how are you helping them see it? It's one thing to say, look, we all need to contribute to get the cars out the door to get paid, so we all get paid, but you all have some degree of an end result that you can show them that when we hit this number and we get to this number, everyone wins. But I'll just say it. I've lived it. I've actually had a flat rate tech look me straight in the face, go, I'll do anything you want me to, but why is it going to affect my paycheck? I'm
Well,
not
I
saying
think
that's what every flat rate tech thinks, but I wouldn't blame anyone for saying, well, if I'm not getting paid, like Joel alluded to earlier, doing a proper diagnosis, proper repair plan, there's no set figure in the actual estimate that I can clock a number to training somebody. Where do you fill that gap? How do you make that a tangible metric if you have? I don't know.
well, I think you talk about it. I think you have to be able to explain to them. I think that's our investment as business owners to get the outcome that we desire. And we always talk about the why. Everybody wants to know the why. That's a legitimate question. Of course, you want to know why you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that has worked for me is we have our monthly meetings and we go over KPIs and financials at once per month. And then it's about having a whiteboard and showing them this is what drives this number. Okay, this is where this number goes up. This is what causes this number to go up. So this is the behavior that we need to have in the shop to make this number go up. And when this number goes up, it's reflected in your pay. You have to, like I said, point A, point B. I think you have to walk them through it. And that, everybody's got such a varying level of understanding when it comes to a balance sheet or a P&L statement. Like everybody,
Big time.
and when you put everybody in a room, nobody wants to raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking like gross profit. How do you calculate that?" I know that because I was the guy at the performance group meeting who just kind of sit there, watch his peers talk about things that I didn't understand, and I was scared to ask those questions. So as business owners, we need to be able to identify that and pull those people aside and say, "Hey, you kind of look like you were in La La Land when we were talking about gross profit on labor in there. Can I just take a second to show you where that comes from?" 9 times out of 10, they'll just go like, "Yes, please," because I was sitting there not knowing what I was talking about. You start to explain that to them and understand how they can affect the result and ultimately how that will benefit them. I think that's where you get the buy-in.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, excellent.
We're
Todd,
already even talking about it.
Right?
Like,
Joel, anything to the comment of incentivizing your people, regardless of how their pay structure is, to contribute to bringing new experience into the trade? It's obviously a tall order, but we're doing it to our people. We're asking them, we need you to help us train these people. What
well,
are you guys perhaps doing?
it's definitely something that we're dealing with at this point. We have a large number of retirees this year, so about 150 plus years of experience leaving us this year.
Right.
Pretty tall order to replace, and actually to say to replace, I don't think you can actually do that.
Hmm.
But definitely, like it's really hard. We're talking with our top technician right now. Like we need to bring somebody in. We need to train them. Are you good with that? Because yeah, it's going to affect them in a large way. And not his answer is basically, do I have a choice?
Hmm.
Like
Uh,
not that he's against it, but like there really isn't many young people coming up into this trade right now, and
Mhm.
we're in a little blip right now where we really need some experience, but we're gonna have to grow it ourselves once again, which we've done a countless
that's
times,
nothing new.
and we'll do that
Totally.
again. But yeah, it'd be really nice if there was some skilled tradesmen available to us right now.
I think that I was talking to someone, I won't like name names, but there's a reasonably large MSO that when they bring apprentices in, they eat the apprentice's wage the first year. They team them up with a technician,
Mhm.
an experienced technician, and in year two, um, the technician gets, so it's in the first year they get 100% of the apprentices billed hours. In year two they get 50%. In year three they get 75%, and then in year four they get cut free or something along those lines. And so there is actually some incentive because the technician is going to spend time teaching, coaching, fixing their
Mhm.
mistakes. Like there's some like real world consequences for technicians, and I think that it's not fair to dismiss those. And as a company, if you're bringing a green bean sort of technician in, I think that you've got to eat some of that and share that with your technician who's training them, and because you know how long it takes.
Mhm.
And then on the flip side of that is, I think, as a technician becomes probably like a solid third year technician is probably pretty productive. And so, they need to start seeing a bit of an upside to that too.
Yeah. I'll throw in there the actual quality of life piece as we wrap this up.
Oh yeah, I like that.
It's what I've seen, and I mean, Todd, you alluded to it earlier, and I know you're all working at this, but taking away that stress, right?
Yeah.
You could be the most efficient tech out there, but if you're waiting on parts, or
Yeah.
damaged parts are coming in, or you're waiting on approvals, or that job in the booth that isn't going through, I mean, just how do you improve quality of life for all of your people, including your most senior technicians? And we witnessed that. We witnessed that at actually it was Walter High Caliber, where at first it was a little bit skeptical coming in and teaching again repair planning and the importance of it, and then of course the advanced repair planning side. But to see the stress level reduced on their technicians, and of course with that throughput increase because cars are moving, but that the one technician had openly said, at least I get to just apply what I do well and not have to deal with all the other stress, right? So
Yeah. He's
I
made
don't know how
they've
to
they've
put
made his life better. Yeah.
how do you put a dollar amount on quality of life? I think it's something that each business owner needs to understand that you have to be able to say to your people, look, I'm going to pay you well, and we're going to work together to keep this place profitable and everyone rewarded. But it is hard. We've lived it too. We're maintaining quality of life for somebody who's maybe enticed to go down the road for a couple more dollars an hour, or these young brand new technicians right out of the school, red sealed, ready to go, and can make some serious hours. But as far as I know, I don't think you guys are all working 16, 18-hour shop days, are you? You're
Oh,
working your 8 to 5, and that's it. And you still have happy people that
Yeah.
work either straight time or flat rate,
you
right?
bet.
So,
Yep.
again, quality of life is in there because we're not going to slam out hours and take away time you should otherwise be at home with your families. And you will still come here and have reduced stress and make good money.
Yeah.
Very
True.
well said. Yeah.
I think
So,
I got something else to add to that too, because I think it's rather amazing, and I'd like to know if other industries um, are kind of similar to us.
sound good. Joel, bring us home on this, buddy.
Well, I see a bunch of shop owners here in this group, and I know a whole bunch more others, and I think you guys know a lot of the same ones that have for years complained about the profitability of this industry, you know. But yet, on the other hand, every single one of us is trying to figure out a way how we can give more to our staff. Like that's literally what we're trying to do here right now. Are there other industries out there that are as nice as we are while taking it pretty roughly at the same time? Because I'd love to share stories with them as well too, or maybe they've got the secret sauce that can help us get to where we want to go. But I'd just like to commend you guys because you guys believe in what I believe, and that's really providing for your staff and for their families. And hopefully you can make a good profit after helping all of these people and helping yourself. Like, it's pretty beautiful. So I'd like to know if anybody else is out there like our industry. That's my question.
I'm gonna have to wipe the tears from my eyes after that speech and get back to you on that, Joel. That's very heartfelt.
I'll cry after.
That's a good question. It's a good,
Hey, it's a good question.
Cry in the shower like a normal person, right?
Like,
Either
what are you doing?
Either that, or we're gonna have some other industries. The electricians and the plumbers are gonna be coming over here. Shut up, dudes!
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah.
We're happy with our money. Like,
yeah.
I hope
Well,
we're
you know, maybe this is something that's you know, I think the industry's just changed a lot, and I think our hearts for it are a lot different than we remember it as young people. But it's like, I don't know, I don't want to be involved in a business that takes advantage of the people. I want our people. I want them to be like, man, that's like my work life balance is the bomb. Like I don't want we used to call it the sunshine tax here in Kelowna because it was like you go anywhere else and technicians were being paid way more, and I'm like, that's just insane. Like how let's like do the best for people. I want to go to the Christmas party and have our technician's spouse come up and go, man, the best thing my spouse ever did was come and work for you. Their life is way better than it ever was before. And I look at that and I'm like, what a win.
Yeah.
Right.
Which includes clear and fair compensation amongst everything else, right?
You got it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm not sure if that was an invite to maybe bring in some wives in the near future and get the real take on things, but maybe someday.
They keep us honest, that's for sure.
Yeah, they do.
I think we'll cut it there.